Hello guys from economics, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Um, well, as you all know, I don't feel comfortable with live stream. I cannot work with live stream. It's not really my thing. I end up getting confused and mixing up classes and students, so it really doesn't work for me. But since so many of you have asked me, you would like to have a video, so you can go back and watch it in your free time. So I decided to make this video. We're gonna start reviewing some things we saw, and I will take you until the end of this lesson, so you would, this unit, so you would know exactly where you stand and what you have to do and what you need to read. Okay? Great, so let's get started. So here we go. First of all, we are on unit 2, which is understanding the market. This is what you have to do. Okay, go to unit 2, understanding the market. In unit 2, we have 4 chapters. We have demand, supply, prices, and market structures. What is very important for you here in your books to understand? For example, I go here to my demand. I have 3 lessons, as you can see. You can click on the lessons. You have vocabulary. This vocabulary is vital for you to keep up with your reading, to understand your reading. So this is the key vocabulary. You have content vocabulary and you have academic vocabulary. You will also note that you have videos here that will help you understand the content of the lesson a little better. So whenever you have doubts, go and look up this video. Also, by the end of each chapter, like here we go to lesson 1, lesson 2, and then we go to lesson 3. By the end here, you have something that's called a check quiz, okay? You can go to your check quiz and you can try to answer these questions. If you need a hint, you click here on a hint. This is for you to be sure that you have actually understood everything that is necessary in your book. Okay, let's go. So we started with demand. Okay, I don't know if all of you were with me. I don't think so. Most of you weren't really on Zoom. So I'm going to try to recap a little. Okay, first of all, we're going to start by focusing on the importance of your ebooks. Okay, and in your ebooks, you have this video, Understanding the Market, the types of markets. I think it's really nice that you watch it. It's around 3 minutes. This is a very famous quote that I like very much. It says, every time you spend money on something, you are casting a vote. These dollar votes help you determine what products you see on store shelves and how much these products cost. So whether you are buying a plane ticket or selling a pineapple, you are participating in a market. All transactions between buyers and sellers occur in markets. Understanding the characteristics of markets and how they operate will help you make better decisions with your dollar votes. I think this is perfectly related to our unit 2, understanding the market. Okay, try to watch the video and then you come back here. We talked a lot about demand, and we all understand that demand is how much the consumer buys and how much it's the power that the consumer has to decide. And then to decide actually how much of the product is in the market and the price of the product actually, okay? And what we have here is how does demand help societies determine what, how, and for whom to produce? You will see these 3 questions throughout your course, okay? What to produce, how to produce it, and for whom to produce. Summarizing what we saw in the demand section, we need to see the law of demand. What is exactly the law of demand? Making it simple, the law of demand means this. When the price goes up, the quantity demanded goes down. This is a fact. Okay? When the price goes down, the quantity demanded goes up. What does this mean, Summer? If I always go to my favorite restaurant and my favorite hamburger costs $5, okay? All of a sudden, this hamburger costs $10. I will not, maybe I will not buy any hamburgers, or the quantity of hamburgers that I will buy will be less. Why is this called a law? Why do we use the term law? It's because it studies the unchanging behavior of people. It doesn't change. It's a law. And for you to remember something about law of demand, you can see the relationship between the price and the quantity is inverse. Price goes up, quantity goes down. This is something very important for you to remember. Let's talk a little bit about a demand schedule. I have it here for you. You also have this in your ebooks, okay? If you would like to look at it more closely. They gave you the price of a imaginary product. Let's say it's a hamburger, okay? And the quantity demanded, okay? This is my demand schedule. As you can see, as my price goes down, my quantity demanded goes up. When I have $10 a unit, nobody is buying it. 9, nobody's buying it. My consumer starts buying it at the price of $6, 1 unit. At the price of $2, 2 units. From the demand schedule, we make our demand curve. Okay, we always have the price on the left here, and then we have our quantity. Okay, and this is our chart. You will see that it will go to the right as demand increases. How does the market work? We have individual and market demand. Let's talk about Michael. This is Michael's individual demand curve. Can you see? From A to B, can you see the difference? From A, at the price of $4, he buys 2. At the price of 3, he buys 3. And then you have Julie. At the price of 4, Julie buys 1. At the price of 3, she buys 2. A market demand curve will take into consideration Julie's demand curve, Mike's demand curve, my demand curve, and your demand curve. And they will make the market demand curve. Therefore, they will have an idea of what is happening in the market, at what price we are selling the most. So here, our best option is between A and B. What affects demand? Of course, the first thing, the number one thing is price. Okay, something is expensive, we stop buying it. It's a fact. Another thing that's important is the income of the consumers, how much money I make. A factor that can go here is unemployment. I also have the price of substitutes. If I go to a restaurant and my hamburger costs $5, and in the restaurant next door it costs $4.50, I can make a substitute. Therefore, this can actually affect the demand in that restaurant. I can also have advertising. It really helps a lot. Sometimes the more advertising we see of a product, the more we buy it. We have changes in taste. As we grow, as we mature, as we learn more, or not as we learn more, but according actually to the fashion industry as well, we change taste. We change taste. I know most of you are very young, but 10 years ago, Japanese restaurants were not so famous in São Paulo. It actually became a trend in São Paulo. So the demand started growing here. We have also the price of complements. If I buy a computer for a specific price, I always check the complements that I need for my computer. If they are too expensive, most likely I will not buy it. Okay? We also have the factor of expectations. I need to buy a smartphone. But my favorite company will release a new phone next year with the most amazing features. Will I buy my phone? No. Now, no. I will probably wait, which will take my demand down. It can also work on the other hand. I don't know if you guys noticed, for example, the demand for toilet papers lately. We always talk about this. For some reason, people were afraid of running out of toilet paper, and they started buying in more quantity, which will take my demand curve to the right. This is my demand curve, okay? From here, we have this question here. How do changes in consumer income and tastes can affect the demand curve? How can they affect it? Changes in consumer income and taste can cause the demand curve to shift right or left, depending on the change. With more income, demand can increase. Therefore, I go to the right. With less income, demand decreases. Therefore, I go to the left. So a change in taste can cause the demand to increase or decrease. And then we here go to demand and marginal utility. What is a marginal utility? For us to understand, we need to remember what is utility. Do you guys remember when we talked about the value of a product? And the value of a product we usually measure it by utility and satisfaction. Okay? How useful this product is for me and the satisfaction that it gives me. From here we have the marginal utility, which is one of your vocabulary words. It is the extra satisfaction that I get from acquiring a product. Okay? It's an important extension of this concept because it explains so much about demand. So the more satisfaction I get, the more I will buy it. This is my marginal utility. On the other hand, we have something that is called diminishing marginal utility. What is this? It's when my satisfaction starts going down. Okay, when the extra satisfaction that I have from using additional quantities of the product, it begins to decline. It's not really so important to me anymore. And because of diminishing satisfaction, we usually are not willing to pay as much as before. I can buy a smartphone now for 5,000 reais, and it's amazing. I have my marginal utility. As time goes by, I have my diminishing marginal utility. So my next smartphone, I probably will not pay 5,000 reais. Okay? Question for you to think about. How does the principle of diminishing marginal utility explain the price we pay for another unit of a good or service? Okay, think about it and we can discuss it later. Speaking of demand, we're gonna have, this is lesson 3 in chapter 4, okay? We have elasticity of demand. When I say the word elasticity, imagine an elastic that you can stretch, okay? And we're gonna, also now we know the causes of change in demand. We have many causes other than the price. We have a different taste, we have unemployment, advertising, all of these contribute to change demand, okay? Believe it or not, prices change all the time. But sometimes the consequences can be surprising. It's not what we expect. Imagine this. If you had a store and you wanted to increase your revenue, okay, would you want to increase or decrease the price of your goods? Which one would you choose? Believe it or not, your total revenue at the end could decrease in either or both cases. In either ones, you can decrease or increase, okay? And that's why it's so important for us to understand elasticity of demand, okay? Because quantity depends, demand depends on the price. So economists use a concept called elasticity. It's a measure of responsiveness that describes the way a dependent variable changes in response to change in an independent variable. Remember that in economics, price is almost always my independent variable. How? Let's go to another graph. This is my graph here. I have my price and I have my quantity. If you take a look at A, at the price of $3, my quantity is 2. Okay? As my price goes down to $2, my quantity is 4. As you can see here, consumers react in change in price by changing the quantity demanded. So there is a big gap here. It really stretches. Okay? This is known as a demand elastic. And this kind of demand elastic we can see in cases where we can substitute what we need, like food. You go to your favorite restaurant, it becomes expensive, you go to a second restaurant here. This is what I called demand elastic. Okay, I usually have a substitute. Then I have something else that is called inelastic demand. What is this? Take a look at this. Take a look here between A and B. And take a look here between A and B. This is when a change in price, it causes a smaller change in quantity. You can see here that my price goes up or goes down. But in quantity, I have a very small difference. It's like 0.5. Okay, in what cases does this happen? This happens in products where in supplies, services, and products that are necessary for me. The example the books give you is medicine for cancer. So for the medicine that I need to treat a cancer, it goes from 2 to 3. This probably would not change the quantity demanded so much because it is something necessary and I cannot simply substitute it for something else. We also have what we call a unit elastic demand. What is a unit elastic demand? When the price and quantity are always equal, there's a balance. Okay? What do you see here? My revenue or expenditure is $6. $3 per 2 units, 6. Here, I have $2 per 3 units, which is equivalent to 6. I have here a unit elastic demand. It's very difficult to find products or services in the unit elastic demand. Most products and services are usually elastic or inelastic. So this is demand. Now we're going to move on to chapter 2. Remember, guys, we are going from demand to supply. Okay? The law of supply. What is the law of supply? Pay attention to the difference. According to the law of supply, suppliers will offer more of a good at a higher price. My price increases here. My supply increases as well. My price here falls, okay, decreases, and so does my supply. Pay attention to this. In the law of supply, it states that supplies will offer more for sale at higher prices. Therefore, you will see the prices going up and the quantity going up. Notice these errors are different than demand. In demand, if my price goes up, then my quantity goes down. This is a big difference between supply and demand. Remember, demand is related to the consumer, okay? And supply is the producer selling to the seller. So they're two different concepts. Something that can help you in chapter 5 is this video here. What is supply? It's a short video where it's very interesting. I think it will help you understand a little bit how supply affects economy. So why do supply and demand curves slope in different directions? Well, all producers must decide how much of a product to offer for sale at various prices. We have many prices. Let me close this. Let me show you here. The same as demand, we also have our supply schedule, and we have our individual supply curve. Remember, individual refers not to a consumer, but to a firm. Look at the difference here. $9. What is my quantity? 4. Look at my price here. $1. What is my quantity? 0. So it's completely the opposite. Here, I have a decrease in quantity supplied. Do you see? It's going down. Whereas on this side, where I go to the right, I have increase in quantity supplied. As I move up on my curve in prices, my quantity will also increase. The same thing here. I have firm number 1. Okay, this is a restaurant. This is my second restaurant. Individual supply curve, individual supply curve A, individual supply curve B, and then I have my market supply curve. But then we have supply and demand, and we need to put this together because this is on one of your assignments. How do you put this together? Okay, always. This is price and this is quantity, okay? You will draw your demand here. And as your price goes down, your quantity and demand will go up. Whereas you have supply. In supply is the exact opposite. As my price goes up, my demand, my quantity goes up. As you can see, these two lines will cross and you will find an equilibrium. This is the equilibrium. This is the perfect world for both consumers, sellers, and producers. Okay? What can happen in my perfect world? Take a look at this. If I am below this line here, I have a producer surplus. My situation is surplus. What do I have? I have too many products in the market and I simply cannot sell them. If I am above this line here, I have a consumer, so I have a surplus. What is this? Too many people for the same product. Therefore, I will have shortages, which will make the prices of my products go up because they are scarce. So my perfect world is always in the equilibrium. The same thing for supply, we also have elasticity, okay? Elastic supply is the same as demand supply. You will see a big difference between price and quantity. And then here you have an elastic supply, where you see there's little change between price and quantity. At the same time, we have what we call is a unit elastic supply, where my price and quantity are basically the same. I went from 1 to 2, I doubled. From 2 to 4, I doubled. It's equal. Supply. What are the factors that can affect supply in the market? Is it different from demand? Yes, it is. Okay, remember, imagine you have a company or a firm. What is important for you? Cost of resources. What are the cost of resources, guys? They are my input factors. Labor, how much do I have to pay my employees? Land, capital. These are the cost of resources. I also have productivity. If I have 2 people working for me, they produce 10 books, okay? If these 2 workers can work and produce 20 books using the same resources, then I have good productivity and I will probably increase my supply. Technology can also help us. I have 2 employees or I have a machine that can do the work of 2 employees in half an hour instead of a day. This is positive, it will increase. Remember, this can also be negative. If I implement technology in my company and my employees are not prepared, this will decrease supply. Taxes which I need to pay for the government. This is also input. Subsides, money that comes from the government to help me. My number of sellers, how many people are willing to buy my products. Expectations. And we also have government regulation. This part here helps a lot, especially in the number of employees that I will hire. Okay, how much do I have to pay for each one? From here, we'll go to the theory of production. Okay, so we're finished with demand, we're finished with supply. What is the theory of production? It involves transformation of inputs. And what is input? Remember, labor, equipment, and capital. And land. It involves all of this and transforms into output. What is my output when I have a firm? Goods and services. In this production process, the manager is concerned with efficiency in the use of inputs. So we have technical versus economical efficiency. Guys, we must remember that what every company, what every manager wants is efficiency, to produce more and more and more. Production is usually illustrated with a production function. There's a figure where you can actually take a look and organize your ideas. In this figure, it will show you total output changes when the amount of a single variable input changes. So here, remember, our input here variable that we're going to be talking about is usually labor. And in a production function, we're going to take a look at how this affects my output. Okay? Let me show you here. Ooh, this is really big. Yes, it's really big. Okay. Notice I have 3 stages, stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. Okay? And this is my firm here. In my firm, I have 0 workers. What is my total product? It's 0. I'm not producing. Great. I hired 1 worker. What is my total product? 7. Fantastic. Then I have 2 workers. What is my total product? 20. From here, we will take a look at the total output. And what is a total output? Total product is 7. My marginal product is 7. Total product is 20. My marginal product is 13. How do we get to this number? Simple. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It's 13. This is my total output. And as you can see here in stage 1, my total output increases. Okay, from 13, then here, I produce 20, from 20 I go to 38, 18, 24, 28. This is my stage 1. I call this increasing returns. I'm doing well. If you notice on number 6, the total product is going up. Therefore, my marginal product is going down, which means I'm starting to spend more on employees and producing less. Actually, I'm producing more, but my total output is not so good. I'm going down. In this stage is decreasing returns. I go to 129 total product, but my marginal product is 9. And then if you notice, when I start 10, I have a big difference. My marginal product is good. Okay, 148. My marginal output is 4, and I have 10 employees. And when I go to stage 3, you will see the number is negative. I have 11 employees, total product 145. My marginal product is negative 3. What does this mean? I have too many people working for me, and I'm not making money. I go to my negative returns, which is here. So how do companies determine the most profitable way to operate? They have many questions to ask themselves. What are the costs? Lease, it's similar to rent, utility bills, repair of equipment, daily expenses, how much do I pay an employee, the benefits that I offer my employees, what is the cost of producing each good and providing a service. From here, we will go to finding the marginal cost. I need to find what is my marginal cost. Let me go here. And we have another graph. Great, it's really big. We talked about this one, remember? This is a production schedule. And we saw that with the number of employees, how much is my marginal product? Perfect. Yeah, we also found out that from the number of 10 and up, I am losing. So the best part for my company to decide how many employees will I have is basically in stage number 1. What is a marginal cost? Let's go to marginal cost first, and then we'll go to the rest. It's a variable. It's fixed, and its total costs are necessary to compute the most useful measure of cost. Marginal cost is the extra cost incurred when producing one more unit of an output. How can I find the marginal cost? We have to divide the additional cost of adding each worker by the additional output the worker generates. To find the marginal cost of the first worker, let's go to the first worker here. It's him. Okay? We divide the additional cost by 90. So this worker will cost me $90. And his output is 7. So we will divide the additional output of 7 to get my marginal cost, which is $12.86. To find the marginal cost of the second worker, we divide the additional cost of 90 by 13. Therefore, I will get 6.92. I'm doing well. I'm spending less. All of these values are shown here as you go down. Okay, let's go to our next part so we can understand this graph. Now I need to find out my total revenue. The total revenue is all the revenue that a business receives. Okay, it's the total. In the case of this firm, the total revenue is shown in the 8th column. It's right here. And it's equal to the number of units sold. Remember, each unit that I have costs $15. Remember, I'm talking about a company who has only one product. Okay, we're talking about one product. Each unit costs $50. Okay? So it's equal to the number of units sold multiplied by the average price of 15 per unit. So if one worker is hired and 7 units are produced, okay, here I have my worker. 7 units are produced at the price of 15. What is my total revenue here? My total revenue is 105. If 10 workers are hired and there were 148 units, let's go here, 10, my total output for 15 each. The total revenue will be 2,220. And the calculation is the same for any revenue. From here, we will go to marginal revenue, which is this column here. The most important measure of revenue is marginal revenue. It is the extra revenue a business receives from the production and sales of additional unit output. You can find the marginal revenue here by dividing the change in total revenue by the change in total output. For example, when a business employs 5 workers, here, it produces 90 units of output. Okay? There we go. These are my units. And generates 1,350 of total revenue. If 6 workers is added, output is increased by 20 units from 90 to 110. And total revenue increases to 1,650. From here to here, what's the difference? $300. If we divide the change in total revenue by the marginal product, which is 20, from here to here is 20, see? We have a marginal revenue of 15. As long as every unit of output sells for $15, the marginal revenue earned by the sale of one more unit will always be 15. For this reason, we always have 15 here. Remember, I am talking about a company that produces only one product. Let's go to our total profit. What every company or firm needs and wants and desires profit maximization. Simple as that. Suppose this firm wanted to experiment to find the level of output which maximized profits. The business would hire my 6th worker here. Number 6. Okay? Because the extra output would only be $4.50 to produce while generating $15 in new revenues. This means that each of the 20 additional units produced would get $10.50 of profit, increasing total profits from $8.50 to $1,006. This is for you to understand a little bit how a company works in order to decide how many people to employ and what is the best number of employees to profit. Okay, so eventually we have the profit maximizing quantity of output. It's the volume of production where marginal cost and marginal revenue are equal. Okay, let's go to our break-even analysis. Sometimes a firm may not be able to sell enough to maximize its profits, at least not in the beginning. So they want to know how much to sell just to cover the basic costs. This is when the firm needs to find its break-even point. It's the level of production that generates just enough revenue to cover its total operating costs. For example, our company could not cover all its costs if it employed one worker. As you can see here, if I have one worker, I would be negative 35. Hold on. This total, okay, this is because, great. However, the break-even point only tells the firm how much it has to produce to cover its costs. Most businesses want to do more than stay at the break-even point. They want to maximize the amount of profits they can make and not just cover their costs. If we take a look here, one employee, it's not even worth it. 2 employees, it's really, it's okay, but it's not enough. It's okay for me to actually just pay for my costs. Okay, and here, if you look here, you will see that my best, I am producing my best between 6 and 7 here. Okay, so we talked about supply, we talked about demand, and we talked about how can a firm maximize production. Great. Prices. Why are prices so important? Why? What makes them so important? Maybe they're not important. I don't know. Some factors your book tells you that why is price important. First, let's understand that price is the monetary value of a product. How much a product costs. Why is this important in our society? Prices are signals. Just like a human being, when you have a fever, it's a signal that something is not okay. So when you have prices, you have a signal to measure what's happening in the economy. Okay? Why is this important? Well, we have neutrality. In a competitive market, prices are neutral because they favor neither the producer nor the consumer. Since prices are the result of competition between buyers and sellers, they represent compromises that both sides can live with. So remember, buyers and sellers, they need to always be compromising. What is also good about having a price? Flexibility. We have flexibility, okay? Prices in market economy help provide flexibility, unforeseen events that are not expected. In this example in your book, they give you about the Sandy hurricane, which destroyed much of the northeast of the United States in 2012. What happened? The prices of oysters went up, okay, temporarily, but they went up. So buyers and sellers, they reacted to the new level of prices and adjusted their consumption and production accordingly, thus helping the system function smoothly again. The ability of the price system to absorb unexpected shock is one of the strengths, the main points of a market economy if you study it. Why is also price good? We're talking about something that's familiar. Everybody's familiar with a price. If I tell you something costs $1.99, you will know how much is $1.99. You will make your decision if you're going to buy it or not quickly and efficiently with a minimum time of effort. Efficiency. What is efficient? When you have a price, there is no cost of administration. You have no bureaucracy. Okay? Prices can adjust from one level to another, but usually these changes are made so gradual that we don't even notice. So they're very efficient. Okay, and what if we did not have prices? What will happen? Remember, the question is what, how, and for whom. Always this question. We need a criteria. We need a criteria. They bring you a very interesting situation here. It happened in Cuba. In 1999, okay, there was an exhibition of a baseball game, and there were not enough stadium seats for all the local baseball fans who wanted to attend. So somebody had to make the decision. This decision had to be made by somebody. And since we did not have the price, Fidel Castro decided to make the decision for whom. So he solved the question of for whom, and he gave the seats to Communist Party members. whether they were baseball fans or not. Was this good to the party members? Yes. Now, for the baseball fans, no. They were disappointed and they thought the decision was totally unfair. Okay, so what happens then? We have something that's called rationing. What is rationing? It's a system under which government decides everyone's fair share. They decide how much you get of everything. Okay, I'm going to take you to the World War II. In the World War II, the United States had a problem when it came to oil. What happened? During the oil shortages between 1973 and 79, what did the United States decide to do? Okay, so now, if you have a license plate that ended with an odd number, then you will have access to gasoline on the odd days, even numbers on the even days. This will be called rationing. And they ended up giving coupons to the citizens so they can use these coupons. So far, so good. What were the problems? We had perceived fairness. Okay, so people with older cars, they thought they should have more coupons because their cars were less fuel efficient than newer ones. On the other hand, the people with newer cars thought that this was penalizing them just because they have a more expensive car. And at the same time, we had couples with one car who thought that it's not fair for them if the other couple with two cars had more coupons. Another problem we had in the United States was administrative expenses. It was very expensive. Okay, why? You needed, first they printed 5 billion coupons. That's a lot. Somebody has to pay for the printing, for distributing, and for organizing. And this includes salary of these workers. So you had expenses. Something else that went wrong is distorted incentives. What is this? Automobile companies had less incentive to produce more fuel-efficient vehicles. I mean, why even try? On the other hand, consumers would have less incentive to reduce unnecessary driving to save gasoline. Since I have the same amount always, why should I even bother? We had abuse and misuse, of course. People were stealing coupons, they were selling coupons, and this was another factor that was very negative. Okay? Okay, I hope you guys understood the lesson fairly well. Like I told you, we talked about demand, supply, prices. The market structures, if you understood these first 3 chapters, I think you can do on your own. You have 3 lessons in the market structures. Please read them. And like I said, pay attention to your vocabulary. Here, you will need to check your vocabulary. You have videos and you have charts that will help you understand. I will leave chapter 3 up to you to read on your own. Okay? After this, of course, we cannot forget, let me see here, that you guys have assignments, yeah? So let's go to our assignments. I think most of you have an idea of what to do, but I will go over it one more time, okay? So let's go here, economics, and you will go to lessons, understanding markets, okay? I will click here. Guys, remember, you have your guided readings, okay? Try to do your guided readings. After you're done, I will send you the key answers, okay? You also have the overview. I think it's a very good idea for you to read the overview so you can have an idea of what to expect in this unit. You have assignments. Assignment number 1, you will submit assignment using the text submission box that appears when you click on the writing submission button, okay? What do you have to do in this assignment here? You simply have to answer these 3 questions based on this graph. At the price of $15 a unit here, how many units are consumers willing to buy? Remember, consumers is my demand line. At a price of $5 a unit, how many units are suppliers willing to supply? Talking about supply. What is the equilibrium price shown? Find the equilibrium. Answer in complete sentences. Assignment number 2, I have explained it to you guys. They tell you to first download and print a copy. If you don't want to print, transform PDF into Word so you can write on it. And after you finish, you need to transform your Word back into PDF before you submit it. Okay? Click on the Browse My Computer button. Navigate where the file is saved. Okay, after you have done everything, you need to save the file on your computer. After you have identified, you're going to double click on it. Your file name should be visible in that dash section. So you're going to save your file like this. First name, underline, last name, underline, real world. Let's go here to your assignment. It looks really big and long, but it's really not. They start by giving you an example, a headline. Imagine this is the student. Okay, I'm the student. More consumers are buying hybrid vehicles to feel good about saving the environment. Great. What am I going to do as a student? I'm going to write an analysis about this. A paragraph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, between 5 or 8 lines. Okay? I'm also going to complete my graph according to my headline. Which headline do I work on? They gave you 4 headlines to choose from. Choose one headline. Read the headline and write your analysis, like this one here. Okay? After you write it, you have this graph already. Don't forget to label everything. Okay? Price, quantity, supply, demand. This is in black. Equilibrium, it's here in black. Okay? And now, according to your headlines and to your analysis, you're going to use. Where are you going to put your demand line? Where is it? The second one, make it red. Is it here or here? The same thing for supply. Where does it go? Don't forget to also find your equilibrium point. Don't forget to use your symbols. How can I use my symbols? From demand 1 to demand 2, I used my symbol to the right because the quantity I sold went up. Okay? If in your case it decreases, you need to use the symbol to the opposite side. This is it. In part 2, you have an example story which you will read, and this example story is illustrated here. So in this part of the assignment, what will you do? You have another headline. Don't forget to read the article. Scientists create cheaper, more efficient batteries as Americans flock to electric cars. So Americans are going to electric cars, okay? They are cheaper and they have more efficient batteries. In your opinion, what would happen in the market for electric cars and why? Okay? After you answer this, which one of these graphs do you think represents this headline? You choose one. And then you're going to complete the following demand schedule of a hypothetical product. Oh my God, so difficult. No, it's not. How do you find a total expenditure? Price times quantity. 1 times 10, 10. 2 times 8, 16. Put your numbers here, okay? And then create your graph. Illustrate your graph here. Price, quantity, okay? Don't forget to label the graph, okay? You're gonna sketch a demand curve. So you are focused on demand, which illustrates the elasticity of the product. Okay, I suggest you do the graph first before you answer this. And then you have to decide this demand graph. Is it elastic, inelastic, or unit elastic? Explain why. Okay, you have any doubts? Go back to your books. Okay, great. After this, you have one more assignment. What are you going to do in this assignment? You're going to go to Chapter 4 Assessments, number 13 and 17. You will answer these. They are questions. Chapter 4 Assessments. Let's go here. Let me see if I still have my book. Let's go to Chapter 4. It's Chapter 4. Let's go to Assessments. This is assessment, okay? Let's go here. You will answer 13 and 17. Then you will go to Chapter 5 Assessments, number 1 and 19. You will answer. Chapter 6 Assessment, number 8. You click here. If you need here, we have more instructions. You will submit the assignment using the text submission box that appears when you click. So remember, use the text submission box, okay? To avoid timing out, they always tell you to do it on Word and then you can copy, okay? And paste in the submission box. If you have any questions, okay, you can text me anytime.